Alrighty, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Serving Nerve, where we talk about whatever we want, and today we are going to be going through more like body positivity, fat acceptance, cringe compilations. Quick note, I am working on the third iteration of the Carnivore Cringe series, and we will be going through, quite soon, a couple other new video series a few new series. I don't know how to say that. Anyways, so I've got a bunch of stuff lined up, and I just have to mention, I've just noticed some individuals are subscribing to my Patreon and whatnot. I did update Patreon. I've got some new tiers on there. I'm going to be modifying my current ones to look a little bit better, make it so that you guys got more benefits going on, and I just added a Discord server for one of those tiers, and the tiers above that particular tier. So if you want to check it out, by all means do, but nobody cares. So let's just get into the video. Also have to mention, I have a smoothie bowl. It's in tribute to all the lovely little vegans who have been commenting on that Carnivore Cringe series that I was making. It is in contribution to all the lovely plant-based individuals who've been recently subscribing. There's just raspberries, strawberries, bananas, and some vegan protein powder in there. And by the way, if you have access to Sprouts, their vegan protein powder is the best. Get the vanilla protein powder from Sprouts. It is the best, okay? And it's actually pretty cheap, which is how I like it. Today we're just gonna get into this, so let's break into this lovely world while we consume delicious healthy sums. Ooh, hello, Braziers. I'm quite a fan. I tend to lack in the front, but I can still, appreciate.
This may be an unpopular opinion, but I really hate curvy wife dudes. Like, their whole motto is, whoa, I bang a fat girl forever. Stop using your fat wife for clout. And also, in the song, you really didn't have to go giant text, she's 200 pounds.
Okay, I literally have no idea what song or whatever is being referred to, but, oh man, music-wise, I just saw Mother last night. I saw them live. It was fucking amazing. I've never experienced something so good. I have to mention this. The crowd sucked, but, it was Mother Cave Town and somebody else. And, dude, I have to point this one thing out. Mother took the song The Matrix that they have, and they crossed it over with Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. It was psychotic. So that's the only song that I've been able to think of for the past 24 hours. It was awesome. And, had a good drinky drop, if you get what I'm saying. So it was a good night. But regarding this, yeah, it's weird if people use fat girls as, like, a weird status symbol to be like, oh yeah, I bang fat chicks. But it's also just on the basis of preference. So if somebody's, like, gloating about you being fat and being like, yeah, I bang fat chicks, or gloating about, fat chicks in general and stuff and being like, yeah, I bang fat chicks, that's kind of weird. And also, it's kind of ironic because usually I hear the opposite. I hear people going, like, in the fat acceptance community, complaining about how they're deemed undesirable and how they should be perceived as desirable. But now I hear somebody kind of complaining about an opposite kind of situation. And to be fair, it's like, it's the same thing with all, like, people going, like, just douchebags going like, oh, I'll bang this person. Dude, you know how many times I've had some douche say to me, I bang these chicks, I like a girl with a big booty, I like a girl with a nice little tout waist, I like a skinny bitch. There are just guys that are douchebags who will gloat, and it's kind of different if it's like a guy amongst other guys. I feel like it's kind of like what it is. But, it's kind of that situation where it's like, it's just called being, in my opinion, a little bit of a douche, or having a little bit of a lack of confidence, or trying to assert how confident you are about your sexual preferences. That's just my personal opinion, though. I don't really know very much about relationships, courtship, but I could assume such from what I've gathered, which is not much. I have to point this out. If courtship were, like, equivalent to consumption, where, like, you need it to survive, I would be dead. I would be dead beyond the scope. I would be absolutely slaughtered like a lamb.
It's fine.
We can all agree on this, yes? So, how can we not agree on this?
I mean, no body weight particularly is indicative of health. You can be a very, very skinny, or very normal weight, or very fat individual, and you can have terrible health. It's just up to the cards that you play. But, regarding this, being obese or severely underweight, I don't know what they categorize as thin in this context, but severely underweight or severely overweight does have biomarkers and indicative, like, effects on your health. So they're both not healthy. Being overly skinny, being underweight, and or being overweight is not healthy for the human body. There is a physiological normality that we try to appeal to within a range. Now, you can argue what that range is, but if you are morbidly obese or severely underweight, you're not in good hands, and you should definitely work on making a positive change to bring you back a little bit into that normality.
If you don't like my body for being 3,000 pounds, it's because of the patriarchy. No, it's because nobody likes that. That's disgusting, it's unhealthy, and nobody should want to date that. Like, women, I don't want to look at it, men don't want to look at it, and I'm straight.
I mean, I just think it's so ironic that...
I think that's Candace Owens. The only thing I recently heard was that she got dumped from Daily Wire. I want to know the drama and the tea for that. But anyways, I'm so sorry. Regarding the circumstances, I really don't look at like somebody who's grotesquely overweight and think they're disgusting on a moral basis. I just think that I wouldn't want to actually like be with them because I don't think they'd live very long. And personally, I'd like to actually like, if I were going to be in a relationship with somebody, want to have like a family with them eventually, perpetuate my own well-being, and also have my kids have the ability to live a fortified life with both parents involved. So, you know, that's my perspective. Saying that being attractive is a little subjective. There are feeders, people who are into feederism, people who like severely overweight women and they find that it's hot. It's a fetish. So it is kind of subjective. But saying that, I personally think that if you are severely, severely overweight, I don't think it's a great game to play. I think you should try and lose weight just for your health. You should always endeavor to be healthy. That's the sexiest thing that you can possibly be. You shouldn't care what people think of you, though.
That people actually take this person seriously, but it is what it is, and they do. Number one, I think they like her because she gives them permission to feel better about themselves for absolutely no reason. Like, she's literally saying that if you're fat, you should feel like shit. And it's really funny that for a woman who built her entire platform off all lives matter, everybody is equal, God loves everyone, she makes a statement like this, and it's like, well, all lives matter unless you're fat. And for someone who claims to be so educated in the way of the world, she also fails to understand that health is actually a privilege. Like, she's making...
Oh my god, okay. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cringe at that. For most individuals, you can choose to be healthy or unhealthy by doing healthy and unhealthy things. I'm sorry that this is about, you know, like, Candace Owens, because I know it's political and I'm not good at politics. So bypassing that, and out of the context of the clip that I saw, I don't know what the prompt was for her commentary, and she is very brash because it gets her views. But on the basis of someone perceiving somebody as unattractive, it is subjective, but health is important. So I don't actually understand exactly like what this person's going on about because it's somewhat out of context and taken apart. But on the basis of health being a privilege, health is a privilege if you have like deformities, genetic abnormalities, or things that are out of your control. Health is a privilege. To be healthy is a blessing. But you do choose as an individual, as an adult, you do choose things you can do and not do to be healthy or not healthy. Like eating fruit and like smoothie bowls and shit, and not eating McDonald's every day, or not exercising, or trying to eat a healthy diet, or working on, you know, lowering your stress levels, making sure that you don't drink too much, I'm bad at that, or smoke, I'm not great at that. So I'm not here to be a martyr for health. I'm just saying that there is a level of privilege, but you can take away your own privilege when it comes to health by doing unhealthy things to make yourself unhealthy.
It sounds like people are like, I just don't want to go to the gym, when actually there are millions of Americans that have food insecurity. People can't even...
Bruh, nah. You know what? I came from food insecurity, alright? I don't know what you're talking about with food insecurity. Some of the cheapest foods around, frozen vegetables, rice, beans, potatoes, pasta, all of this stuff can build up a pretty healthy diet if you know how to work with these ingredients. Like, even if you're in a food desert and you have to drive out, which I've kind of been a little bit in one before, like, not super, but I've been in places where you don't really have a lot of grocery access. You just drive out, you get your non-perishables, and you come back to the space. Dude, I was able to get healthy food during COVID. Like, most people were able to do that, and we had mass shutdowns. Like, there are no excuses, and if you have no, like, food security, or you're poor, like, you don't have any money, like, I completely understand. Like, this is a privilege. Getting, like, this kind of stuff, this is a privilege to me. But, like, getting healthy food does not have to be expensive. You can go to Walmart, you can go to Costco, you can go wherever you want. I wouldn't recommend Costco because you gotta pay for memberships. But generally speaking, you can get very cheap, healthy things. In fact, why don't for one of our cooking videos that'll be coming up, we'll do a budget video. A budget video on like the cheapest food we can possibly make, which is very doable and a lot of people already do them. So I don't know what this person's talking about when it comes to food security or food insecurity. Dude, like, I don't know, man. I've never had, like, that level of excuse to become obese just because of food insecurity.
Can afford food. And what happens for a lot of these people is they end up over-consuming because they don't know where their next meal is coming from.
That can be an interesting argument, but no. Okay? That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. You've got tons of people who come from severe eating disorders who have the same mentalities and they work past that. But bypassing that, if you don't know where your next meal is going to come from, it sucks. It does suck. I don't really know how legitimate this is in the Western world. Like, I can understand you becoming obese if you come from, like, a foreign country where you have no access to consistent food and then you're all of a sudden exposed to it. You can eat as much as you want and you're like, gotta eat as much as I can because I won't know when I get it next. Or you come from having, like, a really restrictive eating disorder or, like, really crazy yo-yo dieting and you, like, are, like, very starvation mentality oriented where you're like, I can only have my cheat day today, or I can only eat this right now, or I can only have this designated time to eat this, so I'm gonna eat as much as possible and then I'm gonna, like, restrict myself again. That kind of thing I completely understand, but this is very up the alley of not consistent. People usually have to have a level of significant overindulgence to become, like, concerning in regards to their weight. So I don't really believe in this. I don't think it makes that much sense. I can try and sympathize with the prospect. There are probably some individuals who do have that, but most of them do just have consistent issues with understanding how to have a healthy diet and how to have a healthy exercise plan. That's my personal opinion.
But that doesn't matter, right? They just don't want to go to the gym. But it's also really funny to me that she actually thinks that this is all about looks, and this is all about just wanting to feel attractive and desirable. Now, she more than likely is projecting her own internal needs and her own internal desires. That is actually not what the fat acceptance movement is about. Now, I myself am not fat.
What do you mean? The fat acceptance movement is literally all about being accepted because you're fat. It's on the basis of physical form, You can argue maybe the HAES community, the health at every size community, is really different on the basis of them being accepted as healthy individuals. But outside of that, the fat acceptance community literally bases itself off of the way you look, the fact that you're physically larger than other individuals. So what do you mean, dude?
Activists, and I can say for certain that they don't give a shit if you think that they are attractive. Actually, the reason the body positivity movement was even started in the first place was to actually demand access to healthcare. That fat people are not treated like they are less than in society.
Honestly, I hate to interrupt, but I have to mention this. I could use some access to healthcare. I'm in one of those income brackets where I make just enough to not be able to get any, like, Medicaid or anything like that. Was thinking about just hopping the border back to Canada if I get really badly injured just so that I can use the socialized healthcare system that I was born into and also treated like shit by. This might be a joke. I don't know how legal this is, but I'm just saying, like, in regards to health discrimination, it is a thing. But I have to say one thing. I've heard so many people say that health at every size or, the fat acceptance community or whatever, they all say it started from something that's different. They all say that it started from something different. They're like, oh, it was because of racism. Oh, it was because of health access. Oh, it was because of, societal acceptance, discrimination. Like, what is the actual start to this? I would love to know. I don't know. And I don't know if anybody else knows, but I would love to know the truth. Just give me the truth.
Is asking for really basic things like job opportunities, not to be discriminated against because of their weight, and healthcare. But again, admitting that would be really hard for people like Candace because that means they have to admit that they didn't do anything special to be in the position that they're in right now. And also, I'm really curious why Candace Owens is always bringing up Lena Dunham. She's always using her in her examples, which is...
I have no idea who that is. I'm not gonna lie, my people. I have no idea who Candace Owens or Lena Dunham is. I don't really care. I just like hiding in my bedroom making YouTube videos. I don't really care about politics.
It's really funny because Lena Dunham has been very public about having PCOS and endometriosis, which actually makes it very hard for you to actually lose weight. And
it's also a vicious cycle. You can have a harder time losing weight with PCOS, but the other problem is that not losing weight when you have PCOS, if you are overweight, can like exacerbate your symptoms of PCOS and make it even worse. So I'm not really too sure, man. It's rough. It is rough. I have my sympathies for people with endometriosis and PCOS because I've heard it is insanely debilitating.
Again, for her, it comes right back down to all lives matter unless you're fat. And apparently, if Candace Owens doesn't want to date you, then no one wants to date you.
Reasons why I, a fat person, never want to go to a gym again, part 12. For context, I was on the elliptical, and yes, I did have headphones in, although I could still kind of hear what was going on around me. Hey, so, it looks like all of the treadmills are taken right now. Should we just use one of the ellipticals? Only fat people use ellipticals because they're too fat to use treadmills. I mean, look. Me.
That's cunty. Fuck them. Good for you for going to the gym, and I'm so sorry you had such an unfortunate experience. I hate the idea of getting shamed in any capacity, but particularly if you're trying to better yourself, and then you have some asshole who's talking shit at you in the gym, about you at the gym, or whatever the fuck. It sucks. But it is important to garner a thick skin, and I really do hope this individual tries again at the gym. A lot of people are pretty chill at the gym. Not always the case, of course, but a lot of people are pretty chill at the gym at times. So I really hope this individual gives it a different go, tries a different gym, you know?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Guess we can just wait for a treadmill to open up then. Yeah, exactly. Should we take a selfie? Here, let's go this way. What do you think?
The ending was cringe, not gonna lie, but in a legitimate sense, I do hope this individual and many other individuals who have a hard time in the gym do try again. Because, dudes, it's totally worth it. The gym is like a fun little play zone. Once you get into it, you can't stop. And if you don't like going to the gym, like being physically active, going for a walk, going for a run, doing at-home workouts, doing yoga, get yourself a cheap yoga mat, couple of free weights, work that stuff. Do anything. Like, do anything you want. Just be physically active. That's all that matters.
This is a PSA for the skinnies. For the skinny bitches. If when you're shopping, you take your size small and medium and go put it in the plus size to hide it and save it for yourself for later, you can fuck all the way off.
Do people do this? Usually I just shop at, like, I don't know, like, Amazon for my clothes at this point, and all my other clothes are from, like, the age of 12. So I have no idea if people do this, but if they do, who gives a shit? You act as a patron that this penalizes you, but the only people it really penalizes are the employees who have to reorganize the space when closing comes.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of people still don't actually get this. Like, they can't wrap their brains around it. And yes, it's not my job to educate you, but honestly, if...
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but just for context, the comment says, so basically, and very badly spelt on the basis of basically, geez Louise. This is the one thing that triggers me about the internet, is nobody can spell anymore. Anyways, so basically, if you find skinny women attractive, you're fat phobic. That's the comment here.
Find someone who's, like, you know, teeter-tottering, wants to learn. I don't know if it's this person. It's probably not, because they're just commenting on my videos like crap just for fun. But in case this gets to anyone, you know, who's willing to learn, it is not inherently fat phobic to be attracted to thinner people. It's only fat phobic if you exclude a group of people, fat people, from that attraction due to the fact that you think being fat is unhealthy, unattractive. Because why do you think it's unattractive?
Okay, I have a serious question. Why do we have to lump in discrimination and phobia to preference and sexuality? Could you imagine somebody saying, you're discriminating against me because you don't like my gender identity or my gender or my sex? Sorry, I'm using those all together, but you know what I mean. Like, say a woman is a lesbian and she only likes going out with other women. Should a man be offended by that? Like, should he be like, oh my god, you're discriminating against me for my body not being up to a standard for you? It's preference. Like, people have the right to have a sexual preference, and I think that in the scope of sexual preferences, it should be able to entail any kind of physical form. A lot of people are just like, listen, man, I don't want to have sex with, somebody who's fat, or somebody who's this tall, or somebody who's this short, or somebody who's this weird. Like, dude, honestly, on the basis of everything, your personality is what's going to kill the most, and that's why I can't get any, alright? I literally am the biggest boner killer in history. Here to be the mystery of man and how they couldn't get laid. But, like, what? Am I supposed to be upset that, there's somebody who I have a crush on, they only like blondes, and they're not into brunettes, so, I can't score? Should I feel discriminated? Like, what is the thresholds here? Because it's either not at all a problem, not discriminatory, not fat phobic, not anything. It's literally just preference, or it's all discriminatory. We all have to be in love with each other all the time. We all gotta bang. Either way, the result's going to be suboptimal at best. Mass orgies on one side, and loneliness, and, feeling rejected on the other. And honestly, I would rather be rejected continually than have everybody on the planet want to go out with me. That sounds like hell.
Where does that come from? Your fear of larger bodies, right? Like,
the only thing is, like, I've gone out with people who are, like, you know, on the chubby side. Like, I really don't care. My ex was actually pretty chubby. And the only time I actually thought it was a problem was when he wasn't eating healthy or taking care of himself and not exercising and stuff like that. There's also a threshold for me where it's like you're way overweight, so you obviously do have a potential health risk, and I want to have a long, healthy, happy relationship. So on that basis, I totally think that it's worthy of being concerned about. I don't really see why that's an issue. Like, it's the same thing as somebody being a smoker. A lot of people are gonna be like, ew, like, I don't want to go out with you. You know, you could die early. You're, you know, smoking cigarettes or, you know, vaping and stuff. It's gross. Like, people have the right to just like what they like. I don't understand why we have to make it all about discrimination when it's on the basis of preference. Why does everybody want everybody to fuck them? It's so weird. And this is also coming from somebody who literally never scores. Like, dude, it's not that deep. Like, I don't know if, like, all of these people are just, like, femcells and incels and stuff, or if they just are, like, they're unsatisfied with the relationships they've had thus far, or what. But I just do not understand why we have to overcomplicate things this much. You know, it's not that deep.
that, or not even your fear of larger bodies, but your distaste for, your dissatisfaction for. That's fatphobic. I can like thin people. I don't always. Like, I love, like, a full-bodied individual. And I can still like thin people, too. But I don't exclude fat people from my preferences.
Like, I have a question. Does this count for sexes? Does this count for heights? Does this count for, like, gender identities? What does it all count for? Because if it's just body weight, then okay, I guess we can operate like that. But by that logic, it would have to be used as any physical form, and therefore, literally, you gotta bang everybody. You gotta bang everybody. And that sounds, again, like, this sounds like so much work. This sounds like so much work. I'd rather just look like a bigot. And I know I'm not one. I don't really care. I've gone out with bigger people. It doesn't really matter. And, you know, I've been bigger and had people flirt with me and want to date me too. It's like, it is what it is. But, you know, personality is what sticks. And I don't know, man. I just don't understand these kinds of people and these kinds of arguments.
Because at that point, it's no longer a preference, it's a bias.
Everybody's got a bias. Literally everybody's got a bias. I mean, bias usually does involve some level of unfairness, and by only the perception of the individual will that be deemed unfair. And also on top of that, you can use that for everything, so you can just say, like, personality traits also, like, perpetuate that level of bias or whatever. I just do not understand this level of logic. It sounds terrible. It sounds fucking terrible. It, like, completely just ruins everything fun in life to not even try. It's like, what's the point of trying them? What's the point of having your own style? You're just another body to use.
Stigma, there's a weight stigma, right? Which is where the phrase weight stigma comes in. Certain weights are stigmatized.
I think this would be more logically justifiable as if it were like, oh, I don't want to have any fat friends or anything like that, or, you know, I don't want to know anybody fat, or I don't want to talk to anybody fat. Then it would be actually a concern, because that would be so ridiculous. But on the basis of just sexual preference, you like what you like, you know?
All rooted in racism, our fear, our hatred of black, large, disabled, whatever bodies. And just in case there's any bitches out there who's like, oh, why do you always have to bring race into this? Like, you're a what? Like, it's rooted in racism. Like, fat phobia is rooted in racism. So it's...
Okay, I understand the idea here, but again, I just want to... God. I feel like it doesn't really matter. Like, should I be offended that I'm just not physically appealing to an individual? I just don't really see the big deal as long as somebody's not actually trying to hurt you, like, physically hurt you, or, you know, treat you poorly in that regard. If they just don't want to have sex with you, like, I just don't really see that as an issue. People like what they like, and why make somebody like what they don't like?
There are many things to break down at the same time. You're allowed to be attracted to thin people. You just can't exclude a whole group of people. And
dude, I have to point this out. Body weight wise, it's an indicator of health. It's not an indicator of even physical form exclusively, like a race or a gender or anything like that. It's like, it does involve itself with physical health. Some people don't want to go out with unhealthy people. You know, it's the same thing as being a smoker. Some people don't want to go out with smokers. I just don't understand why we have to be so, like, butthurt about people not wanting to bang us. Like, I just don't understand. I just do not understand this level of illogical logic.
And call it a preference. Just like it's racist if you say, oh, I only date white guys. Or it's racist to those other groups that don't fit in that box, right? It's no longer a preference. It's systemic. It's rooted in something else. It's not just an attraction.
Okay, I get the idea there, like, with it being like, oh, this has been, like, taught into you because of, like, the beauty industry or whatever, like, to like this race more than the other, and, like, the thin ideal more than the other. But again, like, it is still preference. You know, individuals are not hive-minded. We all have the ability to look at somebody for whatever we look at them for, and think that we either like them like that, or we don't like them like that, we are sexually attracted to them, or we are not. And it is up to the individual to understand their own preferences, and it is up to other individuals to kind of perceive them as either preference or bias. I'm sure there are individuals out there who are just racist, or sexist, or homophobic, or, fatphobic, or whatever. I'm sure there are. But there are also many people who just don't want to fuck you, and I don't think you should be offended by that. I think you should take it in stride and find somebody more worthy of yourself. So I don't know, man. I don't really think it's that deep. Like, if somebody looked at me and went like, short, little emo swoop, little Greek Italian, bushy eyebrows, wears t-shirts from Walmart most of the time, and particularly Canadian, If somebody looked at me and went like, list all those things off, I'd be like, alright. If somebody listed all those things off and they didn't like me, like, should I be offended by that? Like, I don't know, man. I just don't think it's that deep. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a dick. But, like, I just think that we overcomplicate such simple things. Such simple things. Like banging. We overcomplicate it so goddamn much. Anyways, I don't know, man. But you know what? That's the video. Tell me what you think in the comments below, my people. And tell me, is it fatphobic to not want to bang somebody fat? Do you think that it's racist? And oh my god, there's gonna be a storm in the comments, so please pardon this. Do you think that it's racist if you do not have a sexual desire for a specific race? I have a serious question about that. Do you find that having a sexual desire for only certain races, do you find that that's discrimination? And hopefully asking that isn't going to get me into any trouble. But anyways, tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you think, my people? And yeah, that was the video, so I'll see you next time. I hope we don't have too much discourse in the comments today, and yeah, that was the video. So I will see you next time, my people. I hope you all enjoyed, and make yourself a smoothie bowl. Slater.